All right, I would like to welcome you to today's class. I want to believe we're all doing well, and we have waited enough for those who really want to join the class. So this morning, I would like someone to remind us of the last topic we had so that we do like a form of, reminder of some of those things, then we can glide into today's class properly. So where did we stop in our last class?
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir. We stopped at School of Thought.
Okay. All right. So how many school of thoughts did we discuss?
We discussed 5 school of thought, sir.
Which of them can you remember?
All of them.
So can you give us a summary of one?
Okay, I'll give the summary of the natural law school.
Right.
The natural law school talks about law as what is fair and what is just. They don't believe that law is from one superior. And for any law to be valid, that law must obey certain morals and principles. That is, it must not favor some and disfavor some. They believe that law originated from the superior being, which is God. And they also believe that whatever a man is doing, he's doing it based on how he was created, which is why natural law is the foundation for modern democracy, and it's also the foundation for natural justice.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Person in the class that can do just like that, just as brief as that, will be appreciated. Informa, you want to speak?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Well,
Morning.
I'll speak on the positive law school.
Okay.
This law school, they define law as what the sovereign says. The question of who is the sovereign, the political head, the person that is regarded as the leader is the one that has the final say of what is a law in their own school of thought. The constitution, rules, ordinances, even the rules and regulation, even the rule of law is not considered a law until it is being declared or decreed by the leader, the political leader. That is the sovereign. So examples of scholars that under that law school, like Thomas Hobbes, John Austin, and Hans Kelsen, I think. A society that is without positive law they believe that society is not stable. It cannot be stable. Such society will have a state of anarchy because they believe that the leader is the one who will make sure everything is organized. And they have some of their weaknesses. Their weaknesses are they do not consider the political nature of the sovereign. That means if the sovereign decides to favor his or her own type of people, like their own group of people, if the sovereign even decides to favor themselves, they do not actually consider that political nature and the fact that they can abuse it. And the second weakness is that they do not consider international law as a law because they believe that as long as there's no sovereign leader residing over those political, they believe that as long as there's not a main leader in those organizations that then those that they don't believe that in those international laws, they don't believe it and they don't practice it because they only believe that the sovereign leader is the one that has the final say.
Right. Thank you very much, Former
Thank you,
Rokiba.
sir.
You have the floor. You can see you are raising your hands.
Yes, sir.
Please go
I'm
ahead.
talking about the utilitarian school of thought.
Okay.
Yes, the utilitarian school of thought, it's of the view that proper law are those laws which promote the greatest happiness for the greatest number in the society. Like it is a law that favors the majority. Then you said that if the law does not satisfy majority, it is not law. Then you went further by telling us the weaknesses of utilitarian school of thought, that is, the minority isn't considered. It focuses on the rights of the majority. Then you told us that all the school of thought they gave their definition of law based on their perspective, like that's background and experience. They all have their weaknesses and strengths. None is entirely wrong or right. And then you decided that you told us again that law is best described as a body of rules and regulations that guide human conduct, which is acceptable as binding in the society, and it is enforced by the state also. So that's it, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Adamu, can see you. You can.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah.
Sir, please, I want to talk on the historical school of thought.
Okay, please go ahead.
For the school of thought, for anything to be considered law, it must have been from the history of people or from their past events. It must have grown out from their history, way of life, or culture. And some of the philosophers, they include Hugo, Gustav von Hugo, Carl von Savin. If the way of life of the people change automatically, that means the law changes, because this is a major factor of the historical law school. It's mostly based upon their culture, their way of life.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, Adeleke, you want to say something? Hello, Adeleke, you have the floor. Okay, maybe it's not with us. All right. Let's Adunola. Adunola, do you want to talk to us?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I want to talk about the Realist Law School.
Okay, go ahead.
This school of thought talks about it deals with disputes, and it talks about the courts. So on a normal basics, it is the legislature that makes the law. Why the judiciary, like, they interpret the law. But in this Realist Law School, the judiciary makes the law. Whatever the judiciary says in the court of the law is law, and nothing can change that. And one of the weaknesses he gave us was that it focuses its attention only on the law, only on the court system. So what I'm trying to say is that in this Realist Law School, the court makes law, and if any other person doesn't intervene.
All right. Thank you very much. I think from the responses we've gotten, it shows that we have been following the class religiously, and we encourage that you continue in that spirit so that at the end of the day, you will not only do very well in the exams, you also know the stuff on its own. All right, so with that, we move into the topic of today, and that will be the nature of law. The nature of law. And this is still going to lead us, of course, we are still on that topic 1, which is the concept of legal system. And then we've been looking at the definition of law so far, and that is still where we are, which will lead us into the classification of law. And then from there, we expand further on the course. So this morning, we will be looking at the nature of law. Now, the nature of law, speaks of the characteristics or the unique features of law. And it's important for us to understand the nature of law as people that are being trained to have basic understanding about the Nigerian legal system, so as to be able to apply this knowledge to other aspects of life. And for those of you who were opportune to be part of the class we had yesterday, Nigerian legal system, we, sort a way looked at this area, but this particular class, we simplify what we did and further provide additional information on the subject. So law has many features or attributes. And the first we are going to look at is that law is a collection of rules, remedies, and sanctions as the case may be. Now we're saying that law is a collection of rules and remedies and sanctions. Now, when we were defining law the other time, we did say that law, once it is made, it becomes binding, and then the people that are subject to it may face punishment or sanction if they fail to obey the law, or if they do anything in contravention of the provision of the law. So, and under these facts also, we did say that law is also a collection of remedies. That is, law can bring about remedy. That is, law can bring about some form of compensation. Because as you will see in the course of this class, one of the things the law does in the society is to regulate human life, to regulate the government, or regulate every aspect of the society, and to ensure that every member of the society is treated equally as much as possible. So, one major feature or nature of law is the fact that it's a collection of rules. And of course, those rules are, aspects of the life of the society that have been seen as what should guide or moderate the life of the community. So, law is a collection of do's and don'ts, or what we can generally refer to as norms. When we say law, we say don't do this. If you want to do this, you do it in this form, and so on and so forth. So that's why we generally say that by virtue of how law is, it is what prescribes what a person should do and what he should not do. For example, as an individual in the society, you do not have any right to take the life of another person by law. But there are situations that if you happen to take the life of another member of the society, that the law may not frown at you, or that the law may not punish you for doing so. And that if you must take the life of another under that circumstance that the law allows, it has to be done in the way that the law prescribes. We're not talking about self-defense. If in the course of self-defending yourself, another member of the society who probably is the attacker lost his life, the law may not punish you, but we consider how you deploy that remedy of self-defense in your own favor. So basically speaking, law is a collection of rules, remedies, and then it brings also about sanction. That's why when you see some definition, we talk about the fact that law it adds some element of force, even in that definition. What that is simply saying is that if the law is given and you go contrary to it, it can punish you. It can force you to do what you are not supposed to do. Just like as we are in this class now, everybody is duty bound to respect the rules and regulations that govern this class. No individual of any sort is actually permitted to go against the rule of this class. And therefore, if you go against the rule, the individual may either be excused, may be punished for whatever reason, or or for with whatever due punishment. So what we are saying is that is how law operates. Because if law does not have elements of this force that brings about sanction or punishment, then people will disregard the law. They're like a parent who is always saying, I will beat you, or if you do this, I will punish you. And a person is fond of always saying that without any consequential action. A time will come that either the children or anybody that is listening will say, this woman is always talking and never able to bring to force what she's trying to do. And what that does is that it limits how the individual can be taken seriously. And that is because of the fact that there has been no way for the individual to show that punishment can go with any form of disobedience. So that's the very first nature of law. Number two is that law is man-made or is human-made. So what we mean by that, or let me just say this way, that law is usually made by the legislature, that is the parliament, or by delegated legislator or other lawmaker, according to the system of government that may be operational in that particular country at a time. So meaning that law is made by human. Law is man-made. Yes, we may say that we have some man-made laws in that these laws are, laws that are not made by man, that are like natural laws that exist even without the man being a part of its establishment. Yes, those exist. Like we talk about law of nature, we talk about which includes the law of birth and death, law of growth, law of gravity, and so on and so forth. Those laws are considered natural law, or things that occur independently of any human action, or an action or prescription that man did not make. But generally speaking, going by the identified nature of law, law is usually made by the legislature. So that is the body that is saddled with the responsibility of lawmaking. And these bodies may delegate such powers to make law to other agents or to other individuals, but that does not take away the fact that it is man that makes the law in question. So to this end, that constitutes a function or one of the nature of law that we need to take note of. Then number 3 is that law is mostly codified. Law is mostly codified. For those who were in my last class where I discussed customary law, you will observe that some of those features or nature of customary law that we discussed in some way, reflect here. But our focus in this class is about general law, not a specific type of law like the customary law. But our focus is on general law. Zoom user, you have a question?
Sir, please, what's the meaning of codify?
To write it, that it is written, or it's something compiled in a document. Do you understand that? That's what we mean by that. So that is, law is mostly codified. That is written at the instance of the lawmaker, especially where it is made by the parliament and so forth. So this is a very key nature of law. Then we need to say that even based on this fact, he said law which crystallize from custom are mostly unwritten, but this is one aspect of law that holds sway, one aspect of the nature of law that it is mostly codified. Yes, majority of laws are written, they are documented. One example of unwritten law is the customary law. Now that's why we cannot say that law is generally written. Rather, when we talk about the nature of law, we will say it's mostly written or codified. Number 4 nature of law is that law exists in the continuum or continually. Law exists in the continuum or continually. Now, generally speaking, law does not die. Rather, it can be modified or it can be replaced with a better version of it. So, what that means is that law exists continually, except where there are, serious or political or economic upheaval or occasions that necessitates the disruption of law and order. For example, we are in a democratic setting now. If the military, if the era of military comes, the military is in the habit of suspending laws in order for them to be able to rule appropriately as they want to. But the law, once law is made, it exists in continuum. It does not in any way die, except it is modified or one way or the other suspended. So that is the fourth nature of law. The fifth nature of law we are going to look at is that law is normative in character. Law is normative in character. Please just give me 1 minute to attend to another class that is waiting, calling for my attention. I'll be back shortly. Thank you.
That's gonna be good, get it.
Your passport. Yes.
The person that is talking should kindly mute his mic so that we can continue our lecture. All right? So, can you hear me, class?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So, what did I say was the fifth nature that we're going to
Law is
continue?
normative. Law is normative in character.
All right. So, law I don't know why some of your colleagues are not respecting the rules of this class. So we continue. Law is normative in character. Now, the rule of law consists of norms for the regulation of human conduct in a society. And what that simply means is not far from the fact that law regulates. It's a form of a regulator that, seek to model the life of everyone in the society. For number 6, nature of law is that law is a reflection of a moral state or condition of a society. This is another nature of law, that law is a reflection of a moral state or condition of a society, meaning that law reflects morality, but law is not necessarily moral, but it brings about the display of morality. So in other words, law ought to be moral, but in reality, law and morality are not the same. Now, let me explain that to you so that you don't get it all lumped up. Sometime back, one of the world power, that is a country, demanded of Nigeria president to recognize the rights of people who engage in same-sex marriage, gay, lesbians, and all of that. And then the president then said that we cannot allow such a thing in our society because our society does not tolerate that. So what you can pick from there is that the way of life of Nigerians do not embrace things like that. So meaning that from our laws, you can see our morals. That if the law provides that you cannot take what does not belong to you without the permission of the owner, the implication is simply that our society forbids stealing. Our society forbids cheating. Our society forbids people taking advantage of others. So that is how law showcases the way of life, the morale of the people. But we are saying that law is not moral. Even though some people claim that it ought to be moral, but what we are saying is that law only bring about showcases morality and at the same time not law, because it is the way you behave that shows your moral principles, and what guides the way you behave is law. So that's why we are saying that one of the nature of law is that it's a reflection of a moral state or condition of a society. Just like when you see a real Muslim woman, you will not need anybody to tell you that this is a real Muslim woman. But when you see her dressing, you will know that this is someone of high moral standard, because you will not see a Muslim woman exposing sensitive part of her body. It is the Islamic law that has, or Islamic practices and principles that has made that known, so that a Muslim woman dress decently and in good shape. It may not be a law, but it is the law of Islam that, decency is important. But mere seeing the person live out his life, you did see that it's a consequences of the law that exists in a society. And that's why we identify that law is a reflection of a moral state or condition of a society. Another nature of law is that law is dynamic in nature. Law is dynamic in nature. Now, what do we mean by that? Now, law is dynamic in the sense that it can be amended or reformed. And what causes this reform? These reforms are consequences of the happenings in the society. If a particular thing is happening that the society does not approve, you discover that the society will make law or reform the available laws to address it. There's a popular example that I usually give, that there was a time that kidnapping was becoming very rampant in the society. Rampant to the extent that even people were afraid to move within the society. So what did the society do? The society, through its organs that make law, decided to review the punishment that is apportioned to kidnapping. They reformed it, they amended it because of the changes that was prevalent in the society. It is not, that is to say that law is not static. Meaning that a new law can even be enacted to meet current needs of the society. And this is in line with the view to meet the ever-changing needs of people as changes occur and as the society grows. At a time, issues of artificial intelligence were very minimal in a society. But now, it has become the order of the day that practically everything we do can be done by artificial intelligence. And what we now have developing in the society is that there are a series of artificial intelligence laws in order to be able to regulate or guide the society. Like I shared sometime back in my class, that maybe people would never have imagined that they will be attending lecture in the comfort of their homes while their lecturer is even in class. But today, technology has taken, this to a next level. As I'm talking now, there are facilities that can record my word for word. As a matter of fact, some people have requested in this class to enable AI to take down notes for them. Even though I asked such people to reach out to me through their coordinator, they've not done that. So, the society needs to make laws that will guide the operationalization of all these new developments in the society. That's why the law is always, changing to meet the needs of the society. So therefore, this constitutes a major nature of law. Another one is that law has element of coercion. Law has element of coercion. That is, law is forceful. And a breach of law attracts sanctions. When I mean sanctions, I mean punishment. And, and these are enforced through organized means, such as the police, the courts, and prisons. Law has element of coercion. For those of you that live in Lagos, we have the popular LASMA officials operating within the states. Now, the implication is that if you are the type that likes to drive anyhow, you will engage caution. If before now you were driving the way you like, immediately you sight the uniform, you respect yourself. Sometimes when you want to go into, you want to drive on BRT lane, you remember that there is a body established by government known as LASMA. You respect yourself and stay on your lane. What makes you to respect yourself and stay on your lane is because of this element of force that law carries. And then the law has its own enforcement organism, like the police, who will ensure that the law takes its course. Let me share something with you that happened just yesterday. We got a judgment against a tenant who was refusing to give the landlord the house he rented. As a matter of fact, the tenant gave us serious trouble. For the past 4 years, we have been in court. We won the case. Then he appealed again to the High Court so that we will not be able to take the apartment. But luckily, we went to the court of our High Court. We won the case. And then, because the court has given judgment that this man should give us possession and refused, after we had done all we're supposed to do, the officers of court mobilized with Nigerian police force. We got to his house yesterday as early as to 7, and we waited for him to open his door, maybe when one of his children was about to go to school. That was how the law enforcers entered the house and removed all his loads. He threw his load out with his family and gave us the empty apartment. That is the law in action. If we do not have the judgment of court, nobody can try that. But even while the officers of court were carrying his things out, he called his lawyer and his lawyer got there. His lawyer could not do anything because he knows that the law is taking its course. And that even if he decides to take any contrary action, the police officers who are officers of the law were on ground to arrest anybody who will not allow the law to take its course. So this is law for you. It has element of coercion, that it is forceful, meaning that if you commit a breach, you will be punished. Number 9 nature of law is that law has territorial limitation. Law has territorial limitation. What that connotes is that laws are usually made to regulate the conduct or interpretation or interpersonal relationship of a people in a particular society. That's why there are some laws that are enforceable in this part of Nigeria that are not enforceable in other parts of this same Nigeria. Another example is that any law made in Nigeria for Nigeria is only applicable within the shores of this country. And that's why American laws or South African laws don't control us here in Nigeria, but they control the territory where those laws are made for. So this is one very important aspect of the nature of law. That is number 9. Number 10, nature of law is that law is realistic. Baby Sola Mary, you have a question? Are you finding it difficult to unmute? You have permission now to unmute. I cannot hear
Like
you.
I'm trying.
The network is not good.
Sir.
Can you send your message to the question and answer chat? Your network in the area you are is not good. Send it to the question and answer app. I will be able to take it. I'll see it. Then I'll take it. Okay, look for question icon on the Zoom platform. You'll see it. Now let's continue. Law is realistic or peculiar, meaning that law sometimes are made specifically to suit or to serve a particular need of a people. Particular need of a people may be political, may be environmental, may even be social. That's why we have environmental law. That's why we have even law that regulates our politics. That's why we also have laws that govern several areas of our lives. So, in essence, law is peculiar to each society. That is, it can address a specific aspect of the society. Who is doing this drama? Balogun. Balogun Elias. Please, can you stop this drama? Thank you. So that's number 10, nature of law. Then another nature of law that I would like to add is that it organizes structure and the society. Law organizes structure and the society. Do you know that law is what tells the president how to do some certain things? Yes, it's law. For example, in a particular society. Somebody may choose to want to colonize another individual. Law will not permit such a thing. They say no. Just the way you have your own liberty, so also others must enjoy their liberty. Just like when there is some form of racial discrimination or segregation, the law of France and that. That's why as in Nigeria, you can build or you can own a property in any part of this country, even including Sambisa Forest. You are at liberty to do that, whether you are from that area of the state or not. So, if, for example, you are an Hausa man in Lagos, and then there is a law that is saying that you cannot build here, the number one law in this nation, which is the Constitution, will override such laws, because the law of Nigeria has empowered every citizen of this country to be able to hold property in any part of Nigeria. So to speak, we see that law organizes structure and society. So, and therefore, that is another unique nature of law that we need to know. So, I'm going to stop on that as it relates to nature of law. Do you have any question on this before I move to the next topic? Any question? Yes, Rokiba. You can go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, sir. I want to. The one I did not understand is the when you said law is normative in character. You said the rule of law consists of laws for the regulation of human conduct in the society. So I did not really get that very well.
It's as simple as that. The law regulates how you behave in the society. You know, if you are on your way, you are walking on the street now, you cannot say because you are a fine girl, then you are now slapping everybody on the road. The law has said, yes, with your beauty notwithstanding, you have to behave yourself appropriately in the society. That's what we mean. Even though that subheading may look similar to other ones that we have discussed, but they have their own unique attributes. That's why we have made them look separately. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Akimbode, yes, can we have you? Akimbode,
Good morning, sir.
good morning.
I wanted to talk about the law as an element of coercion, that it is enforced through police and others. Sir, these police and other law enforcement agencies, do they also have laws and regulation that guides their conduct?
Yes, they have.
Okay,
Like,
sir.
for example, the police, they have the Police Act. There's no establishment of government that does not have rules and regulation that governs their affairs. Okay?
Sir, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so with in the absence of other questions, let's move on to the next subtopic, which is function of law. Now, from all that we have been saying, class, what do you consider as the functions of law in the society? Yes, Ifeoma, go ahead.
Well, a function of law is that law regulates the way humans behave in the society, and it also organizes the society in the sense that there's no state of lawlessness in the society.
Great. That's correct. Adnola. Yes.
It
Speak.
brings about peaceful coexistence in the society.
Peaceful coexistence in the society. That's excellent. Yes. Next person.
Hello, sir. Law brings about orderliness in society.
Okay, that's correct.
Hello,
sir.
Yes, next.
Law helps to ensure a minimal level of certainty in the human behavior in society.
That's very correct. Yes, next person.
It ensures development and stability in society.
Come again.
It ensures stability and development in society.
Okay, that's also correct.
Law is
Social values.
the existence of law is necessary for the continuous protection of persons' properties
Very
and
correct.
freedom.
It shows the guidelines for how a country should be governed.
That's correct. Yes.
Law protects and maintains
Law promotes justice and fairness and
That's correct.
regulates economic activity.
That's correct.
Law
Yes.
safeguards fundamental rights such as freedom of speech.
Yes.
It prevents external intervention in the country or society.
It does what?
It prevents external intervention in the society.
Okay. Yes. Also correct.
It defines government in the sense that it establishes the structure of government, including how power should be distributed.
I agree. That's also correct.
So law is not partial.
Law is not partial. Yes, that's correct.
Law regulates individuals in society.
Okay. All right. Let's stop there. You've done fairly well in listening or listing the various functions of law. The truth of the matter is that functions of law in a society are very many, numerous. As a matter of fact, it will be difficult to itemize them. Just the way its functions are numerous. I mean, its importance are numerous, so it goes hand in hand with the functions. And the good thing is that all that you said are also very correct. So let me quickly run through what I have to share with you on the function of law. Irrespective of whatever you are going to say is a function of law, it focuses on orderliness, rights, and good life. So number one is that law acts as a code of conduct. Okay? It's a rule of action to ensure that persons, bodies, and society live orderly and peacefully in a society. So that's one. Number two is that it is a means of resolving disputes peacefully. It is a means of resolving disputes peacefully. Number 3 is that law specifies framework, and the order for all aspects of life and the society, whether it be structure of government or facilities. Like I said when I was discussing the nature of law, it helps to specify structure and framework in a society. Number 4 is that law acts as an instrument for regulating the society because it prohibits what is wrong. It prohibits lawlessness. It prohibits unlawful conduct. There is no law in Nigeria that allows people to do the way they like. No, because where your right ends is where another person's right begins. So law will always prohibit lawlessness, we prohibit what is wrong, and ensure that the right thing is done. Oluwabusolami, can you talk? You're raising your hand.
Good morning, sir.
Good
I
morning.
didn't get the functions of law that you listed out and the explanations. Please, could you go over it again?
No, I will not. You listen to the recordings after now. So we continue. Number 5 is that it creates law enforcement agencies. It creates law enforcement agencies. Law creates institutions. It creates administration of justice. It creates correctional institutions and facilities. That was why I was happy when somebody asked that these law enforcement officers, is there a law that is governing them? Yes. That's why you see a police officer, even with so much power they carry, they are mindful of their behaviors because the Police Act guides their behavior. It is the Police Act that creates the police, Nigerian police, and lists their functions, their powers. And that's why no matter how strong you think you are, no matter how short a police officer is, once he's speaking, that is law speaking, because the law of the land has empowered him to act in every reasonable situation that falls within the confines of his duties. So it is law that creates law enforcement agencies. It creates the institutions, creates the courts, creates how you must act in court, creates the things that the remedies you can get in court, and so on and so forth. Lastly, law creates or grants remedies and justice to those who have been wronged. It grants remedies. That's why, like the example I gave to you of a tenant who has been living in a house that for almost 11 years, paying like the sum of 250,000 for an apartment that is now worth 1 million naira or more, and is still refusing to leave. The courts, in doing justice, had to take steps in order for the one who is perceived to have been wrong to get remedy. So it's a means of relieving or, making the society to enjoy what we call social equilibrium. And that's why, again, when somebody says law is not partial, I agree. Because law is a respecter of no man. Even though you see some things happening in the society, maybe when a big man, now local language, commit an offense, they don't respect him. I mean, they respect him, they don't arrest him and all of that, or they invite him. Some of those things may be allowed, maybe for probably people of maybe senior citizens or people that occupy high positions in the country. But the truth of the matter is that law is not supposed to respect anybody. So law brings about equality, brings about justice. It also brings about maintenance of peace in the society. Taiwo, Victor, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Very well.
Sir, if law is not partial, then why does it grant immunity to the president? He said law is not partial. Then why does it grant immunity to the president?
Okay. The immunity granted that is accorded to that office of the president is a privilege. Privilege on one hand, and a means of allowing the president to be able to discharge the duty that has been bestowed upon him.
Yes,
Because
sir.
the business of states is a very serious one. So the president is expected to be able to have focus. Even though what we see in our own climate is that their political matters, their political party issues don't allow them to rest. But the purpose of the immunity is to enable the president to discharge his duty. And why, again, we'll say the law is not partial by creating that is that anybody that gets into that office will enjoy that privilege. So it is not only for probably the present president. If I become the president of this country tomorrow, I will also enjoy that privilege by virtue of my office. The same thing applies to you, Taiwo Victor. If you become president tomorrow, irrespective of your local government, whether your local government is on the map of Nigeria or not, by virtue of you being elected as the president, you enjoy that privilege. So it's not a way to create to make an individual better than the other people. Yes. Any other question?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, so in the absence of other questions, we will stop here for today so that we will allow our brethren who want to go for prayers to do that. And then by the grace of God, we will continue from this point in our next class. Now, the chat box is open now for you to type in your attendance. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. Daddy. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Yeah. I know Nigerian say.
Fuck me, yeah. Fuck me, yeah.